time where François will answer your own questions, but I forgot to ask you something. Actually, I forgot to ask you two things.
Okay.
Number one is you do a really nice job of going from the specific and particular to almost a mythic level.
Well, thanks.
So are you like...
Can you write that down and post it on
Sure.
Facebook?
Are you like a Joseph Campbell fan, or you done some reading?
I'm a huge Joseph Campbell
Okay.
fan. So
Yeah,
when I first,
shows.
when I first started reading, writing Vacuum Dance, it was basically
Hero journey?
the journey of the hero.
Right.
Yeah. It changed many times over since, but when I first started, I wanted to write basically, the 1,000 Faces of the Hero, but to use that theory and write the poem.
Okay, beautiful. And there's some other places where you get pretty big, but in my opinion, you earn it, which is a very difficult thing for a poet to do. So, bravo.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And the other big thing, can you tell us about the title of your book and remind us that it's for sale along with those cool shirts?
Beer Songs for the Lonely. Yes. So this collection had a lot more poems to it. I took a lot of them out, but a lot of them they're meant really. They're a lot better after 2 or 3 beers, is what I'm trying to say.
So that's the beer songs part.
Right. Yeah.
Are you still lonely?
No, I'm not lonely because I've accepted my loneliness. How's that for a stupid answer? Plus, I have a big dog. And yes, the books are available here. Please support this great bookstore. And I have some t-shirts. Yes, please. And also, I need reviews online on this thing called Goodreads. So buy books here if you can, and then write some reviews. Any questions?
Yeah, please ask. It's a big part of the Poetry Corner.
Do you ever do translation?
I have. I do translations where I can't write, and when I need some sort of, I've never shown my translations to anybody, but just to get my brain going. And so I'll translate French poets that I like into English because my written French is horrible. And also when you translate, it forces you to really understand every single word, and not just the word itself, but all the connotations that word brings in that language, and because you have to translate that as well as the word itself. So it's really good work. But I'm not showing any of those to anybody. Though one of these days before I die, I want to translate Rabelais.
That's a word.
Yes, sir.
You have another book coming out?
I do. I'm working on a collection of short stories. Thanks, Nick. It's called From There Onwards, and it's a collection of short stories this time instead of poetry.
So what are your short stories like?
I wrote a short story called The Gatherer of Cockroaches, which is about this guy that walks around the city and spills cockroaches everywhere. It's really beautiful and light and funny.
I think you read a snippet of that once.
Huh?
I think you read a snippet of that once to me, and I do love it. Yeah.
I did. I read that during our little workshops when we were doing that. And I read the first page at One Page Salon a few months ago.
Great.
And I've since completely rewritten it. And
Nice.
knock on wood, it's at the Austin Chronicle for the short story contest.
More questions, please.
The last poem in Your Songs for the Lonely is about a revelation.
Yes.
Is that a revelation you had? And if so, what is it?
Yes, it is. Thank you, Joanna. So A Small Revelation, I wrote that after I interviewed Michael Zarnacki, which I talked about earlier. And it was the revelation that, yes, I can be a writer full-time. It might be difficult, and I might not be able to pay the rent every once in a while, but I can do it because this dude did it, and he's pretty awesome, so if he did it, I can do it. And that was the revelation. But I didn't put that in the poem. Anything else? Yes?
What does being a full-time poet look like?
So I was talking to Michael about that on the radio, and basically it means writing a lot of poetry, publishing a lot of poetry, and then trying really hard to sell a lot of books so that you can pay rent and eat and feed your family. Is that a good answer?
Yeah, I was just wondering because you mentioned earlier that you get so much inspiration from, say, doing your show, and there are things outside of writing itself that can be so important to the writing
Right,
process, so
but-
I wonder where the...
Well, I think I'd like to get to the point where I don't have, and this may be a little bit, to be too wishful, but it would be nice if I could just live from sales of books, and, but I don't want to be a writer who writes, for computer companies or whatever. What do we call that? Tech writing or that kind of writing? I really just want to do my own creative writing, and whatever that is, whether it's short stories, novels, poetry, and that's what I want. That's what it means to me to be a full-time writer. But yeah, of course, you're right. There's a lot of other things that you can do that are meaningful and that can definitely, touch you. Does that answer, or am I just bullshitting?
Good enough.
All right.
Tell us a little bit about your process, like on a daily basis.
So
Like, you gotta go running and...
I don't run. I don't do any physical exercise, which I should. I hear it's good for you. I write pretty much every day, but what I write isn't necessarily very good. I just write in my journals every day. And then I try to write about my day and what I think, and usually I reread those journals, and then, like in my bag, I don't know where my bag is, but I printed out my journal for all of 2014, and I've started going through it and grabbing little pieces that I'm going to take those, kind of steal from that, and then write the short stories and the poetry. Does that answer you?
It does, yeah. Journaling is really important to the
Yeah.
writing process.
That's the way I do it.
That's cool.
Yes?
So you wrote about music in the hero section. Do other arts play into your writing, and if so?
Yeah, so vacuum dance used to have a huge, it was, again, kind of pompous, but I wanted to write a symphony. And so there was a huge section where it was all instrumentals, and Nick talked me into getting rid of that whole section. So there was like a 5-page section where all I did was trying to imitate instruments, and it was a tad bit long. So I tend to listen to music sometimes when I write, and also I'm a huge film buff, so I watch a lot of movies, and I tried a lot of time to make sure that the images are really specific, and because I try not to be too wishy-washy. So yes, film, because you got to have the images, and I think the reader needs the images to be able to understand the other things that you're doing.
Yeah, I really like your imagery because it's so multi-sensory. You're really hitting all the senses.
Thank you. I took a few of the more gruntal senses out. Again, thanks, Nick. I'm going to keep blaming everything on you, Nick. Is that okay?
Thanks.
There was a few more instances of stuff that you probably don't want to hear about. Really sensory stuff. Yes, Mai.
Did you finish your book about wine?
No, I did not. No. That I'm going to go back to that one of these days.
Wait.
Yeah, thanks. Well, thanks, everybody. I really appreciate y'all coming tonight. I'll be at the Spider House afterwards if you guys want to come have a beer with me. And thank you so much for coming tonight. This means a lot to me. Thank you, Joe, for having me. Thank you, Joe,
Thank you, Malvern.
for inviting me.
A pleasure.
This is awesome. Thanks. This is
Don't
a great
forget to
bookstore.
buy beer
Yes.
songs for the loan.
Buy. Buy some for your friends.